So I wanted to take a minute and talk about role-playing games and Dungeons and Dragons specifically because there's a lot of stuff going around and there's a lot of arguments online about editions and who you shouldn't play this one, you shouldn't play that one. Those people hate you, these people hate you. I don't care. So let's talk about the one I like to play. I started off playing that book right there. My dad was my dungeon master. I was in I was 12, 10 or 11 years old. It I was out at a mall. It was Christmas time. My grandmother was there. I got this book because that's what you do when you have grandmas around. You ask for things. Came along with the little kit, the dice, the whole 9 yards. I had no idea how to play. I'd heard of the game. I really wanted to play it. I wanted to try it. I'd heard from people about it at school or wherever that kids hear about things. And man, this was it. This was the one, right? You were going to try this out. And no idea how to play. So my dad was an avid Avalon Hill war game fanatic, really, and he heard about it too, so he wanted to try. So dad was the dungeon master. My grandmother played a character. I think my friend from up the street played a character. We had a small party of folks playing. It was a lot of fun. Now, what adventure did we play? It was I have it here. It was this one, Keep on the Borderlands, the one everybody started out with. And it was fun. It was a blast. Everybody had fun. And then I played with my friends and we wound up in other adventures and so here we are years later, still talking about it. And the edition wars about some of the newer stuff flare up from time to time. And with these new releases, they're flaring up again where people are like, you're not a true gamer unless you're not a true gamer unless the game was not meant to be exclusionary, and people back when I was a kid played because you didn't, I didn't. You were sort of the outcast at school. You were sort of the nerd. You were sort of whatever, and that's cool. But now, if we're going to do the same thing inside the community, that's just silly, right? Because we've been sort of fighting as the outcast for years. I know let's ostracize each other. It doesn't make any sense to me. And now I have kids of my own, and them getting them involved in the hobby. Some of the original rule books they look at like, well, that's cute, but that's dad stuff, right? We don't use dad stuff. So fifth edition and the new release, my kids are kind of into. So hey, whatever it takes to bring new people into the hobby, I think is the right thing to do. Yes, I understand. You can always get them on Drive Through RPG. I've still got them. I know there's indie games out there. I've got some of those games, but to me, Dungeons and Dragons will always be sort of first and foremost in my gaming world mainly because of that memory with my dad. And for me, bringing my kids into Dungeons and Dragons means a lot more than just saying, "Well, you can play an RPG that's not, Hasbro." Great, yeah, sure I can, but I don't want to. So great, I will. I've got others. I've got Fallout. I've got some others laying around here. Tune, if you want to go back that far. And it's a cool hobby, but I think the edition wars really need to stop, and I think people just need to learn to kind of chill out a little bit and realize it's a game about playing pretend. And the creators of that game really, I think, wanted it to be used as far and wide as possible and not to be exclusionary in any nature. So, hey, you play your way, I'll play mine. We'll all have fun, right? But the flame wars online are just getting silly. And in some ways, the reason I bring this up is because I work in the tech field and I understand how people consume media. And above a certain age, where people go is they go and Google, oh, I don't know enough about Dungeons and Dragons. I want to learn. I'm going to Google it, right? You go off and Google and look. Well, the younger you go, the less it's Google and the more it's social media. So when people see social media folks arguing over some esoteric little difference in between tieflings or hey, the owlbear lost its hug attack later editions, it gets so down in the weeds, which are great. That's fantastic. But when it just resorts to name calling and beratement of people, it just gets silly. Because in the last couple of weeks, I've been called everything from, let's just say my sexuality has been brought into question on a number of occasions. People insulted my intelligence and told me I was part of the problem. I also got called paid shill a couple of times, which I thought was funny, but because I haven't seen a check. But I hope everybody understands that it's just a game, man. Enjoy yourself your way. I'll enjoy myself my way. If you want to play this edition or if you want to play the new one, I really don't care. But the thing about these games are they exercise a part of your brain that you don't get exercised any other way because it helps you with your creative centers of your brain and bringing those creative centers up because your brain is a muscle is pretty important stuff. So I do hope you, at least if you've never partaken in an RPG, I do hope you try it sometime. If you need help trying to figure out how to get started, ask me. Ask. There's a whole bunch of people online you can ask, and get solid answers. There's usually local gaming stores. You can walk in and ask them, and there's an RPG for just about every interest space. If you don't want to play, swords and sorcerers, there's science fiction. There's post-apocalyptic things with Fallout. There's all kinds of stuff out there. So try them out. I don't think you'll be sorry. I think you'll enjoy yourself. And I hope everybody has a great weekend.